Hello and welcome. The New Voices series are 5 sessions with Ottawa artists that represent different demographics: Indigenous, Black, Two-Spirits LGBTQ+, New Canadians, and artists with a disability. Our intent is to open a conversation that touches on the barriers and challenges of being an artist of these marginalized groups, but also telling their stories of success. We would like to acknowledge the sponsorship of Factor who made possible this project. The New Voices series is very well aligned with Ashe World Fest mandate as an advocate by bringing awareness to audiences about the contributions of equity-seeking communities and providing artists a platform to amplify their voices. I hope you enjoy them.
We would just like to acknowledge that we are on unceded traditional Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. We're very grateful to be able to live and work on this beautiful land. Koyanamik. So the song that we just sang, it's a Katajak song. We are not sure where the song came from. There's a lot of knowledge that has been lost throughout colonization in the last couple hundred years. But I did learn this song when I was in my hometown of Igloolik a few years ago. It's a very beautiful traditional Katajosuk that I was very privileged to learn from a friend of mine. His name is Noah Amak. And then when I was in Iqaluit and Charlotte was also, I learned from her. I learned the song from Charlotte. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Welcome to the New Voices series. And it is an honor and privilege for me to have these 2 amazing Inuit singers, Charlotte Hamenik and Charlotte Carlton. So CQ and CC. Yes. Tungasugit. So happy and so glad that you guys made a space to come and share the first episode with us and talk about, my God, that song that you just guys did is just amazing. Like,
thank you.
How is that? Like, how is that possible?
Well, first of all, we use our throats, obviously, but we're mixing our breath and our voice as well as our throats. So it's a practice that, takes a lot of time to be able to learn how to do. Yes. And so we've been doing it for a long time, and it's taken a long time for us to get here. So, yeah.
So you learned that from your mom, from your grandmother. Who taught you how to to do the throat singing?
Yeah, so I'm self-taught. I'm a self-taught throat singer. I taught myself when I was a little girl, maybe. I think I was like 5.5 or 6 when I first started throat singing.
Wow, impressive. And so how does it feel to be then an Inuit artist in Ottawa?
An Inuk artist in
Inuk?
Ottawa?
Sorry, an Inuk? How does it feel to be an Inuk artist in
Great.
in
Yeah,
Ottawa?
it's awesome because, Ottawa is actually home to the largest Inuit population outside of Inuit Nunanga, which is Inuit homelands. So Inuit span circumpolar countries from Russia, Alaska, Canada to Greenland. And so in Canada, we have 4 regions, but there are also a lot of Inuit in urban centers like Ottawa. And so there's over 5,000 Inuit that live in Ottawa. And so it's really great. It's so great because, we have a large Inuit community here, lots of support. And yeah, we love it. Ottawa's our city.
Yes.
It is, huh? And I guess our audience will love to hear more about, let's say, because some people who doesn't maybe have the entire picture of Indigenous populations, how does it work and what difference. What would you say would be, CQ, the distinction or something that is kind of like stand out the Inuit culture?
CC.
CC.
Yes. I was like, you're looking at CC, but you said CQ. Who is it?
Happens all the time.
Yes. Sorry, can you just repeat that question?
Yeah, being just for the audience to understand the difference and what would you say? Well, we are distinctive. Our culture is very different, let's say, from First Nation or from Algonquin or other indigenous culture.
Yeah. So in Canada, when people say Indigenous people, there's Inuit, there's Métis, and First Nations. Yeah, so it's an umbrella term. Indigenous people is an umbrella term, and then within that umbrella is Inuit, Métis, and First Nation. Very distinct, but we're all super beautiful, good cultures.
We have our own languages, our
Yes.
own traditions, our own songs, our own dances, our own foods. There's, just like you and I are different, we're different from First Nations and Métis.
Yes.
So.
Amazing. So, and then the kind of music that you guys do, because you're part of the Seal and Rise Collective, right? And the kind of music you do, you kind of fusion contemporary kind of urban style and sounds with this amazing tradition. How do you do that?
So Sila and Rise started in 2015. Rise Ashen, who is our producer and beat maker, he had a commission to put on a show at the Museum of Nature. And it was a show that was focusing on circumpolar Arctic cultural music. And so he had known Cynthia, who is the other member of Sila, and approached Cynthia and asked if she was interested in collaborating with him on the show. And she was interested and brought me in. And then so we were working on this show, but as we were working, we were recording the music that we were doing, the music that Rise Ashen had been producing.
Kind of like beats, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Like dance beats, yeah. So then all of a sudden an album came out. And so our first album came out in 2016, and then our second album came out in 2019. And then Charlotte Carlton joined the group in 2020. And so since then, we're continuing to work. We're blending Inuit throat singing with Rise's beats. We're creating dance music. We're creating energy. We're creating flow. Lots of space for, just to honor each other's individual talents and skills and cultures.
Amazing. And I know because we're going to be just featuring a segment of a show that you guys did last year for the Blues Fest. Festival. And that was amazing. It was hard actually because we wanted to take a segment, but it was so hard because the entire your entire show was so great. And that was your first show?
That was.
Oh,
that was.
So
I think
how that felt.
It felt surreal. It felt amazing. I remember being, I think, the most nervous I have ever been for a performance. Leading up to Blues, like the day of Blues Fest, I remember I FaceTimed my cousin and I was like, "Guys, hype me up. I'm so nervous." It was just amazing. I felt like on top of the world. And I was on a high for like the following week. Yeah, just like,
Well, I think anyone could sense it by watching that show. I mean, you blended so well. Like, I didn't even notice, like, you were even a new member.
Can
to be
you
honest.
believe, like, actually, I just need to throw this out there. She had only rehearsed with us 3 times
No,
before
I cannot
that
believe
big
it.
show.
yeah.
Yeah. Like less than 2 weeks, less than 1 week maybe.
I think maybe
it was
even 1 week, a week and a half maybe.
before Blues Fest.
Yeah, yeah.
She came in, rehearsed with us only 3 times, and did that show.
Unbelievable. So, so I know you guys have been busy as well, despite of the pandemic, and you guys keep trying to create, and of course, with the limitations that we all have, particularly for live music events. But in terms of creating, you've been working on something new. Tell us, maybe, Cici?
CQ.
CQ.
Oh my God.
It's very easy to mix up those.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're working on our 3rd album, and this one is heavily done by Charlotte and I. Cynthia's up north, and so she hasn't been able to
come back.
And
Yeah.
we were really, really hoping that she was going to be more on the album, but because of the pandemic, things are just more complicated than they usually are. But we're still working anyways. Whenever we can get into the studio, we go in, and we're releasing our first single on June 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Pandemonium. And then our album is set to be released in October.
This year.
Yes.
Well, congrats.
Thank
and
you.
CQ, this is your first album?
With Sila and Rise, correct?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So I mean, I've done like I started really young, so I have other stuff out there, but this is my first with Sila and Rise. I'm so excited for it.
Is it your previous productions or maybe recordings related as well with the same kind of style of music, or?
No.
Okay.
This is the first. This is
Okay.
the first. What I've done in the past, I've done a lot of traditional throat singing and similar to what Charlotte and I how we're this, but so traditionally it's two women and they throat sing basically without music, and it's just them and their sounds that they
The
make.
traditional way.
Yeah.
The traditional way. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would say really only within the last maybe 4 years have I started experimenting with music and beatboxing and different elements.
Yeah.
But Sila and Rise is a different ball game. I love it.
So just going back to the traditional. So this is songs that you already learned, let's say, from since you were an early child, or these are new songs that you are creating.
So there's songs around traditional throat singing, and there's sounds and songs that we create just with our creativity and feeding off of each other, energy-wise, and it's like a blend of both, and then it's mixed to beats. So
with traditional Inuit throat singing, there's songs that are ancient. They go back hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Are they public domain?
They are Inuit owned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Inuit owned.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot that you can find, let's say, in YouTube or.
I mean, if you do enough searching, you can find lots of Inuit throat songs. Yeah. So we like to express that what we do is not exactly traditional Inuit throat singing. We love to demonstrate traditional Inuit throat songs to give that a platform to showcase, this beautiful ancient practice that was actually nearly taken away from us. So we've been in the process of reclaiming a lot of cultural practices, Inuit throat singing being one of them. And so we have to be very careful with the way we blend this sacred practice with contemporary music. And so, you know, we love to demonstrate that traditional style of throat singing and make sure that people understand that what we do as Sila and Rise is contemporary throat singing. So we're making up sounds, we're taking renditions of traditional sounds and kind of making them our own, always with the respect of that very beautiful ancient culture that we come from.
Amazing. And I think that's the beauty of the work of Sila and Rise, because it kind of almost like transcended to a different level, right? And making it as well more current, I would say, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about last year. I know we don't want to talk about the pandemic.
Why are you asking this question?
No, it's just because it's just for a lot of artists mainly, it hit really hard.
Yeah.
And the music industry itself, like. It will have a hard time recovering, and you even see those reopening plans and theaters, venues. It's kind of like even the last of the list to be.
It's really
looking
sad.
for reopening, right?
Yeah.
So how do you guys manage? Like I know. You did a couple of things like a virtual maybe with another, a couple of presenters, but again, it's not enough. So I guess you invested a lot of time as well, kind of creating and putting together the new album that will be released this year. But again, in terms of what other kind of what kind of other approaches or things you have in mind in terms of going forward?
Well, when the pandemic first hit, I mean, it was sudden for everyone. And we were performing so often. We had shows all the time. I had tours going into 2021 when everything shut down. And so Cynthia ended up leaving actually due to the pandemic. And then her life just kind of brought her to Iqaluit. And that's where she is living and working and thriving at the moment. And actually, I had to do some live shows on my own before Shar came in. And those were so difficult because I was doing both sides of the throat singing. So I would sing one side, record that, stop, replay it in my headphones, sing to myself. So I was doing double duty. Yeah, and that was really difficult. So thankfully, I only had to do maybe 2 or 3 of those before Shar came in and saved my ass, if I can say that. So yeah, we've been very fortunate to be able to continue working together because Rise has a studio in his home and we're in each other's bubbles. So we've been able to continue working, and we're still getting some virtual shows, but it's not the same. No. We need the audience. We need people. We need
the live experience.
Exactly. That's where I feel our magic really comes out when we're performing live in front of people, because it's an experience and we're exchanging energy.
And I feel you, because this is the kind of the plural sentiment for a lot of artists, that they felt that they needed to stop abruptly when the pandemic hit, and they kind of like have to reinvent or reframe the way they have to deliver. And this new virtual model or format is not the same for everyone. Some people have, of course, they're more technical savvy, and they have more I mean, if someone has a studio, of course, it will be probably easier, but if someone doesn't have those settings, and all of a sudden is just used to be to the stage, like just to go on a stage and just perform, it's kind of challenging, you know, like transition from one format to the other. So let's say, like, looking forward. And I know everyone is so looking forward to go back to the stage and perform. And you're totally right. Like the energy that you feel, it's kind of like a needed kind of recharge. You're not only giving energy to the audience, you're receiving as well energy from them. You kind of like feeding yourself with that. And it's kind of like a circle. But going forward, I know a lot of artists are actually kind of even questioning the fact that we have to go into the hybrid model, because we don't know yet when the theaters will be open, when the venues will be open, and when the places will be ready for live music. So in the meantime, we just keep releasing albums, creating. What do we do as artists?
I mean, we have to keep creating every way that we can, because as artists, we need this. We need it like we need water. We need it like we need sleep. We need to create. We need to express ourselves. And so we just need to continue finding new ways of being able to, have these kinds of outlets, right? And continue sharing however we can. Unfortunately, it's resorted to, virtual shows and seeing everyone through a screen all the time. But thankfully, it's summer. Maybe we can get together outside, in smaller
outdoor
groups.
shows.
Yeah, some outdoor shows. The drive-in was really, that was a really great experience because, we could actually feel the audience because they were honking their horns. They were able to scream out their windows. So it was really difficult in the winter, especially, for people who don't have those resources to continue producing on their own without accessing other resources. So we just need to keep going. If we need to paint and draw and write poems, just continue expressing.
Good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your music, your art, your pride, and any final thoughts?
Well, I think I would just like to say thank you so much for having this conversation with us and providing the space and allowing us to, tell you and the world about who we are and our music, and check us out.
Of course, and we will go now and watch one of the segments of that Blues Fest show.
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
You can also raise your eyebrows.